Hi, this is Controlled Chaos, and in this video, I'm going to do a review on Heroes Rebirth server from the viewpoint of a game developer and a game tester. So, with this, what we're going to do is we're going to use a point system, and this point system is based off of what I call the 3 M's: the minor, the moderate, and the majors. They'll go pluses and minuses at a point for each level. So, with that, let's go ahead and let's do a starting value. The starting value I'm going to give City Heroes itself is an 8. The reason being is there were a couple bugs in the original game that were pretty big. The first one was in certain zones, when you get a mission, it would take you outside the bounds of the zone, so you couldn't actually do the mission. You either had to wait and build up a point to be able to auto-complete it, or you had to reach out and grab a GM to get them to move the spawn point for the mission. The second bug was that they accidentally broke the Mastermind's pets for ranged attacks and for melee attacks. Your ranged units would focus on melee, and your melee units would focus on ranged. So now we got a set value of 8, which I will put in the upper left-hand corner. Let's go ahead and let's get going on reviewing City Heroes Rebirth. With City Heroes Rebirth, they've added in a new archetype. This new archetype is called the Guardian, and the Guardian is nicely done. So I'm going to give them a point for adding in a new archetype. They're trying to enhance the game, do something new with it. So with that, there's also a new power set that they put in where they've done some work on the power set, and that's the Hellfire Powerset. So I'm giving them another point for doing the power set. With that power set, there are some bugs though, and that bug is the first melee attack that you get is this two-handed fist attack that has flames and is done nicely graphically. The problem is that it has no sound effects to the attack. You get nothing, so it doesn't have the impact. It doesn't feel like you're really doing anything unless you look. You don't hear anything. So I'm giving that a -2. And the reason I'm giving that a -2 is because it can be an easy fix or it can be a hard fix. The easy fix is just swap out the attack with another fire attack. Something that's already pre-created, not something that they're trying to create on their own. They did try to create this one by taking an energy melee attack and changing out the particle effects for fire. But they didn't do anything sound effect wise. They may have tried, but might be complicated in creating the sound effect. They may have to play around with timing of another sound effect for melee. They may have to be worrying about stacking and things like that. Now in the future, if they're able to fix the sound effects, I'll give them a +2, because they actually fixed a really complicated process. If they replace it, then I'll give it a +1. But for now, it's a -2. Now, moving on, the other thing that they've done is when placing the archetype for the Guardian, they actually thought it out nicely. They thought, where does this fit in? Is it melee? Is it ranged? What is it exactly? And the great thing is when you go into ranged, it's there because you have ranged attacks. When you go into melee attacks, it's there. You have melee attacks. When you go into tanks, you don't see it there. When you go into support, it's there because the secondary is all about buffs, and it's not just choose this target, buff them, buff yourself. It's everyone around you gets buffs. So the name fits with what the class does. They are a guardian. Everyone around them, they are guarding, they are buffing, they are adding to damage, they are adding to defenses, things like that. So that's good. If you like the content that I'm giving you right now, please hit that like button. Also, I appreciate if you hit that subscribe button too. It lets me know that you're interested in more future content. And if you want to be notified, hit that notification bell. Now, let's move on to actual gameplay stuff inside the game. I've played all 3 starting zones available for both heroes, villains, and going rogue. Now, 2 of them, there are some problems. The heroes and the villains areas, when you get into certain areas, predominantly in the hero side, when you have an area where it's a predominant quest area of, in this area, kill so many Hellions or Skulls or whatever, they've overpopulated it with too many villains. And so I'm giving that a -1. The reason being is you're not a high populated area. It's not a high populate server. So there's not a bunch of people competing for those mobs. So there's no reason to add in a bunch more mobs. They need to rebalance it back out to the way it was in, say, Heroes, where you could go between the groups of mobs. Okay, the other thing that they've done is they've also increased the respawn rate of those mobs. So that's another -1. With that being said, they can fix those problems. And those problems can be fixed by, 1, lowering or increasing the respawn rate. Make it so that it takes a lot longer. Because with those 2 things combined, what ends up happening is when you're fighting one mob, another mob from a distance away is close enough in the aggro that they'll jump in and they'll join the attack. And so you'll fight that first one, finish off that first one, then you'll go on to the second one, fight that second one. By the time you killed that second one, that first one has respawned on top of you. So you're in this endless loop of fighting off mobs, and you have to actually end up running away. Now, for your tankers and your scrappers and stuff like that have defense, it's okay. You have that survivability there. But when you have the classes like the blasters, which are glass cannons, your survivability rate is really harsh. You end up running away a lot to try to complete this mission. And it takes you a lot longer to do. So it's not balanced well or right for that. Villain side, they've done the same thing. They have these areas where there's just overly whelmed too many mobs in the areas, along with the spawn rates, causes the same conflicted area. You can't really sneak through between the groups. The way I was able to do this is I chose a stalker, so I had stealth. I was able just to run through them no problem and not get attacked. Otherwise, I would have been overwhelmed. Now, that being said, overall, the say Heroes Rebirth server is decent. It's done well. And the overall rating I've given this is a 6 because of those bugs, but also the enhancements. So it's not too bad, but it's not improved upon what City Heroes has done due to some of those issues. Now, a lot of those can be easily fixed, and if I do a future review and they fix those problems, I'm more than happy to give it a higher value rating. The team working on this just need to go through and fix those issues, and a majority of them are easy fixes to do. I know they can easily do it. It's that one last one of the Hellfire's ability where they tried to create their own. If they want to keep with that power, which I really like that they did that. They did a good job with the particle effects and setting that all up. They just need to fix that sound system. If they can't figure out how to do it, or they want a quick fix, they can just switch it out with another power. So overall, that's my review of City Heroes Rebirth. It's still very worth playing on this server. I hope you enjoyed this review. Have a great day.